Hello students, Jinali Shah welcomes you all on behalf of Saraswat International Academy. Today we will begin with the new chapter Biomolecules. The name itself suggests bio, living organisms or life, and molecules are the compounds. So students, in this present chapter we will be studying regarding the various molecules, various chemical compounds which are present within the living organisms. So let us start with the chapter. First of all, let us deal with the introductory part of the chapter. So basically in this portion we will study that what is the chemical composition of the living organisms. In this portion we will study what is the chemical composition of the living organisms, which chemicals are present within the living organisms. So, how the living organisms are formed on the basis of the chemical composition. Now, we know that variety of living organisms, they inhabit the biosphere. So, there is a wide variety in living organisms in our biosphere. Are all living organisms made of the same chemicals, that is elements and compounds? So, question is whether all the living organisms are made up of the same chemicals, that is elements and compounds. So students, for this we need to perform the elemental analysis. So the elemental analysis is the test. So elemental analysis is performed on a plant tissue, animal tissue or a microbial test. So if we perform the elemental analysis, we obtain the list of elements like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and several others and their respective content per unit mass of a living tissue. So suppose if we take a animal tissue, a plant tissue or a microbial tissue, and if we perform the elemental analysis on this, then we obtain that all this component contains the elements like hydrogen, carbon, oxygen and several others. Not only we get the type of the elements, but we also obtain their content respective to the mass of the living tissue. So, by performing the elemental analysis on any living tissue like plant tissue, animal tissue or microbial paste, we obtain the different types of the elements like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and some others, and not only that, but we also obtain their content according to the mass of the living tissue. Now, suppose if same elemental analysis is performed on a piece of earth crust as an example of non-living matter, then also we obtain a similar list. Now, suppose if we take a piece of earth crust which is an example of a non-living matter, and on this piece of earth crust, suppose if we perform the elemental analysis, then also we will obtain the same elements which are present in the living tissue. That means the hydrogen, carbon, oxygen and other elements which are present in the living tissue, they are also present in the earth crust, which is an example of the non-living matter. So now question arises, what is the difference between the two lists? Elemental analysis से ये तो प्रूव हो गया कि जो elements living tissue में है वो ही elements earth crust जो non-living matter है उसमें भी है. So now question arises, what is the difference between the two? We know that living and non-living matter same तो नहीं हो सकते. अगर दोनों में same elements present है, then what is the difference between the two lists? So, what are the major differences between the two lists? Students, in absolute terms, no such differences could be made out. देखा जाए तो कोई भी differences नहीं है. जो element living tissue में है, वही element earth crust में है. All the elements present in the sample of earth crust are also present in the sample of the living tissue. However, a closer examination reveals that the relative abundance of carbon and hydrogen with respect to other element is higher in any living organism than in earth crust. So जो major difference है, अगर closer examination किया गया, further studies करते हैं, so we will find the amount of the carbon and hydrogen is very much higher compared to the other elements in living organisms compared to the earth crust. Are you getting my point? The concentration, the amount of carbon and hydrogen with respect to any other element is higher in any living organism. So पहला पॉइंट ये आया कि कोई भी लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स देखो, वेदर इट इज़ प्लांट, वेदर इट इज़ एनिमल, वेदर इट इज़ अ माइक्रोबियल पेस्ट, ये सब का जब एनालिसिस करोगे, ये सब में एलिमेंटल एनालिसिस करोगे, तो आप देखोगे कि कार्बन एंड हाइड्रोजन का जो कॉन्सेंट्रेशन है, इट इज़ हाईएस्ट compared to any other element, and not only in the living tissue, but their concentration is also higher as compared to the earth crust. The amount of carbon and hydrogen in the living organism is more as compared to their amount in the earth crust. See here, we will study a comparison of the elements in the living and non-living matter. Non-living matter का हम example ले रहे हैं earth crust, and living matter का हम example ले रहे हैं human body. So we will see the percentage weight of various element in the earth crust as well as in the human body. So first of all, hydrogen. The amount of hydrogen, or you can say the percentage weight of the hydrogen in earth crust is 0.414, whereas in human body it is 0.5. When we see carbon, it is 0.03 in earth crust and 18.5 in human body. So you can see the large difference, right? Oxygen, its amount in the earth crust is 46.6%, whereas in human body it is 65.0. Nitrogen in the earth crust is very little, whereas in human body it is 3.3. Sulfur, it is 0.03 in earth crust, whereas it is 0.3 in human body. Sodium, it is 2.8 in earth crust and 0.2 in human body. Calcium, it is 3.6 in earth crust and 1.5 in human body. Magnesium, 2.1 in earth crust and 0.1 in human body. Silicon, 27.7 in earth crust and very negligible amount in human body. So from this comparison, it is clear that carbon and hydrogen are much more abundant in the human body compared to that in the earth crust. So that is a comparison between the different elements present in the non-living and living matter. Now let us begin with the next part of the chapter, how to analyze the chemical composition. How can we say that which organic compounds are present in any living organism? So to know which organic compounds are present in the living organisms, first of all we need to perform the chemical analysis. Students, आपकी बुक में जो दिया है वही मैं एक्सप्लेन कर रही हूँ, बट इन योर बुक दिस टू टॉपिक्स आर स्कैटर्ड. एक टॉपिक स्टार्टिंग में एक्सप्लेन किया गया है and the next part of this particular topic is explained at the later part of the chapter. But to avoid the confusion, हम ये topic साथ में ही study करेंगे, okay? So students, how do we know, how can we know that which organic compounds are present in the living organisms? To know that, we need to perform the chemical analysis. To understand the type of organic compounds found in living organism, one has to perform a chemical analysis. So, to understand, to know the various organic compounds present in the living organisms, we need to carry out the chemical analysis. So, to carry out chemical analysis, we need to take any living tissue. Say for example, vegetable, we can take a piece of liver, we can take a microbial paste. So any living tissue will be taken, then it will be grinded in trichloroacetic acid. The animal tissue will be grinded in the trichloroacetic acid using mortar and a pestle. कोई इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मशीन्स या इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इक्विपमेंट्स जैसे कि मिक्सचर को यूज़ नहीं करना है, ग्राइंडिंग के लिए मोर्टर एंड पेसल शुड बी यूज्ड. सो व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप? We need to take a living tissue, grind it with the trichloroacetic acid using a mortar and a pestle. So we can take any living tissue, that is a vegetable, a piece of liver, etc., and grind it in trichloroacetic acid whose chemical formula is Cl3CCOOH using a mortar and a pestle. Now, by grinding, what do we obtain? We obtain a thick slurry. हमें चटनी जैसा कंपोजिशन मिलेगा. जब कोई भी लिविंग टिश्यू को ट्राइक्लोरोएसिटिक एसिड में ग्राइंड करेंगे यूजिंग अ मोर्टर एंड पेसल, we obtain a thick slurry. Now, what is the next step? The next step is that this slurry should be strained or it should be filtered. Using what? Using a cheesecloth or a cotton cloth. So, the next step is the filtration or straining of the slurry using the cheesecloth or the cotton. So, after straining or after filtering the slurry using a cheesecloth or a cotton, what do we obtain? We obtain the two fractions. हमें दो portions मिलेंगे. Suppose if we filter a tea, right? So what do we obtain? The one portion which is below the strain, छन्नी के नीचे का पार्ट जो टी होती है, एंड जो दूसरे पार्टिकल्स जो फिल्टर नहीं होते हैं वो स्ट्रेन के ऊपर दिखते हैं. सेम इज द थिंग हियर. बाय स्ट्रेनिंग अ स्लरी यूजिंग अ चीज क्लॉथ और कॉटन, what do we obtain? We obtain the two fractions, two portions. So, if we strain this slurry through a cheesecloth or cotton, we obtain two fractions. One is called filtrate or technically it is called as acid soluble pool. So, जो filter हो चुका है that is called as the filtrate, or technically it is called as acid soluble pool, which means it contains the chemicals which are soluble in acid. And जो दूसरा fraction है it is called as retentate, यानी कि जो filter नहीं हुआ है, and that retentate is also called as the acid insoluble fraction. What is retentate also called as? It is also called as the acid insoluble pool or fraction which contains the chemicals which are insoluble in the acid. Now, scientists have found thousands of organic compound in acid soluble pool. Now, जब एसिड सोल्यूबल पूल यानी कि फिल्ट्रेट का जब केमिकल एनालिसिस किया गया, when the chemical analysis of the filtrate was performed, it was found that this acid soluble pool, it consists large variety of organic compound. Acid soluble pool में क्या मिला? It consists of the large variety, thousands of organic compounds are present in the acid soluble pool. Now students, by straining we obtain how many portions? Two fractions. One is filtrate which is acid soluble pool and another one is retentate which is an acid insoluble pool. So students, what compounds are present in the acid soluble pool and what is present in the acid insoluble pool? The acid soluble pool contains compounds with smaller molecular weights ranging from 18 to 800 Daltons approximately. Okay, acid soluble जो pool था यानी कि जो filtrate था, ये filtrate के अंदर ऐसे compounds थे जिनका molecular weight it is small ranging from 18 to 800 Daltons. acid soluble pool, it consists of the various compounds whose molecular weight ranges from 18 to 800 Daltons. So ये जो smaller molecular weight वाले जो compounds है, what are those compounds called as? They are called as micromolecules, or also they are called as the biomicromolecules. What are they called as? Micromolecules, because their molecular weight is very small, ranging from 18 to 800 Daltons. Now, ये जो molecules है वो कौन कौन थे? Say for example, it consists of amino acids, sugars, nucleotides, nitrogenous bases, etc. So, the acid soluble pool or filtrate contains of the molecules whose molecular weight is ranging, very small molecular weight, ranging from 18 to 800 Daltons, which includes the amino acids, sugars, then nucleotides, nitrogen bases, etc. अभी ये सब क्या है वो बाद में हम देखने वाले हैं. Whereas the acid insoluble fraction, they contain the organic compounds whose molecular weight is in range of 10,000 Daltons or above. जो acid insoluble fraction था, जिसको हम retentate भी बोलते हैं. So ये retentate में क्या था? Retentate, it consisted of the various organic compound whose molecular weight was 10,000 or above Daltons. उनकी molecular weight क्या थी? Their molecular size, or you can say their molecular weight, was about 10,000 Daltons. So these molecules are called as macromolecules or biomacromolecules. Macro, it means big. So उनकी molecular weight कितनी थी? It was greater than 10,000 Daltons. So basically, these compounds are called as macromolecules, which include protein, polysaccharide, nucleic acids, lipid, etc. Now ये दोनों की एग्जाम्पल से आप ये देख सकते हैं कि जो पॉलीमर्स है वो एसिड इनसोल्यूबल फ्रैक्शन में है, एंड ये जो पॉलीमर जिससे बनते हैं, पॉलीमर्स आर व्हाट? दे आर द कंपोनेंट्स विच आर मेड अप ऑफ द सेम मोनोमेरिक यूनिट. ओके, सो ये पॉलीमर्स जिससे बनते हैं वो कंपोनेंट, जैसे प्रोटीन्स किसका बना है? एमाइनो एसिड. पॉलीसेकेराइड्स किसका बना है? सिंपल शुगर से. न्यूक्लिक एसिड किसका बना है? न्यूक्लियोटाइड से. सो ये जो सिंपल कंपोनेंट्स है और जो पॉलीमर्स के जो मोनोमर्स है वो एसिड सोल्यूबल फ्रैक्शन में है, वेरेस जो पॉलीमर्स खुद है वो किस में प्रेजेंट है? एसिड इनसोल्यूबल फ्रैक्शन में. सो स्टूडेंट्स, फ्रॉम दिस वी कैन से दैट biomolecules, that are the chemical compounds which are present in living organisms, can be of two types. From this we can say that the biomolecules, that are the molecules which are present in the living organism, they can be categorized into two categories. The first is micromolecules and second one is the macromolecules. So first of all, micromolecules. Those which have the molecular weight less than 1000 Dalton are usually referred to as micromolecules or simply biomolecules, while second one is the macromolecules, which are found in acid insoluble fractions जिनका molecular weight कितना है? greater than 10,000 Daltons. The molecules in the acid insoluble fraction with exception of the lipids are polymeric substances. Okay, मैंने अब भी बोला कि acid insoluble fraction में क्या मिलता है? Polymers. जैसे कि proteins. Proteins are the polymers of amino acids. दूसरा था polysaccharides, which are the polymers of the sugars. तीसरा था nucleic acids. Nucleic acids are the polymers of the nucleotide. What are they polymers of? They are the polymers of the nucleotides, right? लेकिन एक ऐसा कंपाउंड जो एसिड इनसोल्युबल फ्रैक्शन में है जिसका नाम है लिपिड. लिपिड इज नॉट एन पॉलीमर yet it is obtained in the acid insoluble fraction. एसिड insoluble fraction में हमें लिपिड भी मिलता है, but this lipid is an exception. It is not an polymer. Still it is obtained in the acid insoluble fraction. So we will see the reason that why lipid, though it is not a polymer, yet it is found in the acid insoluble fraction. So what is the answer to this question? That why do lipids whose molecular weight do not exceed 8000 Dalton, see लिपिड का मॉलिक्यूलर वेट 8000 डाल्टन से भी ज़्यादा नहीं है, इसका मतलब कि उसका मॉलिक्यूलर वेट साइज है, यानी वो कैसा मॉलिक्यूल हुआ, माइक्रो मॉलिक्यूल हुआ. स्टिल अगर माइक्रो मॉलिक्यूल है तो उसे कहाँ पे प्रेजेंट होना चाहिए, एसिड सोल्यूबल फ्रैक्शन में, but it is not obtained in the acid soluble fraction. It is present in the acid insoluble fraction. So question arises कि why do lipids कि जिसका molecular size it is less than 800 Daltons, they are obtained in the acid insoluble fraction, that is a macromolecular fraction. Macromolecular fraction में कैसे कंपाउंड होते हैं, जिसका वेट 10,000 डाल्टन से भी ज़्यादा हो, लेकिन लिपिड का वेट तो 800 डाल्टन से भी कम है, फिर भी लिपिड्स ये एसिड इनसोल्यूबल फ्रैक्शंस में मिलते हैं. सो उसका रीज़न क्या है? सो वी विल सी द रीज़न. लिपिड्स आर इंडीड स्मॉल मॉलिक्यूलर वेट कंपाउंड्स एंड आर प्रेजेंट not only as such but are also arranged in the structures like cell membrane and other membranes. Now lipid की peculiarity क्या है? लिपिड ऐसे केमिकल कंपाउंड है कि जिसका मॉलिक्यूलर वेट कम है, its molecular weight is less than 800 डाल्टन. बट एक पॉइंट ये है कि लिपिड सिर्फ एज ए लिपिड ही नहीं प्रेजेंट है, बट लिपिड इज ऑल्सो एसोसिएटेड विथ व्हाट, मेम्ब्रेन्स. हमने स्ट्रक्चर देखा, सेल मेम्ब्रेन या कोई भी ऑर्गेनल की मेम्ब्रेन हो, वो किसकी बनी है, लिपिड्स की बनी है. सो लिपिड इट इज नॉट प्रेजेंट एज लिपिड ओनली, कि एक केमिकल है जो साइटोप्लाज्म में एज ए लिपिड ही मिलेगा. नॉट ओनली दैट, इट इज ऑल्सो एसोसिएटेड विद द मेम्ब्रेन्स, यानी इट फॉर्म्स द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द मेम्ब्रेन्स. So it is found in the cell membranes or other membranes. Now, जब हम टिश्यू को ग्राइंड करते हैं, what are we doing? We are disrupting the cell structure. See, analysis का पहला स्टेप क्या था? Grinding of the tissue using a mortar and pestle. So जब हम टिश्यू को ग्राइंड करेंगे, हम उसके सेल को क्या कर रहे हैं, डिसरप्ट कर रहे हैं, उसे क्या कर रहे हैं, वी आर ब्रेकिंग दैट सेल. व्हाट डज इट मीन? द सेल मेम्ब्रेन एंड अदर मेम्ब्रेन्स आर ब्रोकन इनटू पीसेस एंड दे फॉर्म द वेसिकल्स विच आर नॉट वाटर सोल्यूबल. आर यू गेटिंग माई पॉइंट? जब हम ग्राइंडिंग करते हैं लिविंग टिश्यू का, तो क्या होता है, जो सेल मेम्ब्रेन होती है या कोई भी ऑर्गेनल्स की मेम्ब्रेन होती है, ये टूट जाती है. इट ब्रेक्स इनटू पीसेस एंड दिस पीसेस दे फॉर्म द वेसिकल. व्हाट डू दे फॉर्म? सैक लाइक स्ट्रक्चर कॉल्ड वेसिकल, एंड दिस वेसिकल इज नॉट सोल्यूबल इन वाटर. देयरफॉर these membrane fragments in the form of vesicles get separated along with the acid insoluble form and hence in the macromolecular function. ओके, तो लिपिड्स क्या कर देते हैं, लिपिड्स जो सेल मेम्ब्रेन में प्रेजेंट है वो वेसिकल्स बना देते हैं. ये वेसिकल्स दे गेट सेपरेटेड along with the acid insoluble fraction. They are not separated along with the acid soluble fraction and hence they are obtained in the macromolecular fraction. Hence we can say that lipids are not strictly macromolecules. उनका वेट 800 डाल्टन से ज़्यादा नहीं है, यानी they are micromolecules. yet they are obtained in what? They are obtained in the macromolecular fraction. What is the reason? कि जो लिपिड स्ट्रक्चरली सेल मेम्ब्रेन या कोई भी मेम्ब्रेन में प्रेजेंट है, ये मेम्ब्रेन जब टूटती है तो ये वेसिकल्स बना देती है, एंड दिस वेसिकल्स आर फाउंड और दे गेट सेपरेटेड along with the acid insoluble fractions. So that is why lipids are obtained in the macromolecular fraction though their weight is less than 800 Daltons. The acid soluble pool represents roughly the cytoplasmic composition. So अगर हम acid soluble pool की बात करते हैं तो उसमें सिर्फ साइटोप्लाज्मिक कंपोजिशन यानी साइटोसोल को कंसिडर करना है. साइटोसोल यानी साइटोप्लाज्म विदाउट ऑर्गेनल्स, यानी जो फ्लूइड है उसको ही कंसिडर करना है. सो इट इज अ साइटोप्लाज्म विदाउट द ऑर्गेनल्स. द मैक्रोमोलिक्यूल्स फ्रॉम द साइटोप्लाज्म एंड ऑर्गेनल्स become the acid insoluble function. So acid insoluble function में क्या होता है? All the cell organelles and all the macromolecules, they are forming the acid insoluble fraction. The two fractions together represent the entire chemical composition of the living tissues or organism. So अगर ये दोनों फ्रैक्शंस यानी एसिड सोल्यूबल एंड एसिड इनसोल्यूबल फ्रैक्शन को साथ में कंसिडर करते हैं, it indicates the entire chemical composition of the living tissues. So what is a biomolecule? All the carbon compounds that are present in the living tissue. A biomolecule are all the carbon compounds which are present in the living tissue. So this is the classification of a biomolecule जो हमने अभी study किया. Biomolecule is broadly divided into two, micromolecules and macromolecule. Micromolecule जिसका molecular weight is less than 1000 Daltons, whereas macromolecule greater than 10,000 Daltons. Micromolecule present in the acid soluble pool whose examples are amino acids, nitrogenous base, monosaccharides, etc. Whereas macromolecules are present in the acid insoluble pool whose examples are protein, nucleic acid, polysaccharide. The only exception here is lipid कि जो micromolecule है but it is obtained in the macromolecular fraction. So this is the classification of the biomolecules. In summary, if we represent the chemical composition of living tissue from abundance point of view and arrange them class wise, we observe that water is the most abundant chemical in the living organism. So what is the average composition of the various chemicals in the living cell? So अगर हम देखा जाए कि कौन सा chemical living organisms में सबसे ज़्यादा है, then it is the water. That is the percentage of the water according to the total cellular mass is 70 to 90%. So cell में living organism में 70 to 90% क्या है? Water. Proteins is 10 to 15%, carbohydrates 3%, lipids 2%, nucleic acids 5 to 7%, and ions are only 1%. So कोई भी लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म में मैक्सिमम अमाउंट में जो केमिकल प्रेजेंट है that is the water. Okay, then comes proteins, then comes carbohydrates, after that lipids. Nucleic acids are 5 to 7% and ions are 1%. Now one extracts the compounds, then subjects the extract to various separation techniques till one has separated the compound from all other compounds. So अभी हम क्या करते हैं, कोई भी साइंटिस्ट क्या करेगा, पहले कंपाउंड को एक्सट्रैक्ट करेगा, देन वो जो एक्सट्रैक्ट मिला उसको सेपरेशन करेगा एंड देन सेपरेशन यानी उसको दूसरे केमिकल कंपाउंड से डिफ्रेंशिएट कर देगा, सेपरेट कर देगा. So basically हम ये बोल सकते हैं कि one will isolate and then purify a compound. Analytical technique when applied to a compound gives us an idea of the molecular formula and probable structure of the compound. So by purification of the compound and by doing analysis, we can get the molecular formula of a compound as well as we can get the probable structure of the compound. All the carbon compounds that we get from the living tissues can be called as the biomolecules. Now it is not like that कि living organism में सिर्फ organic compounds ही present है. The living cells or living organisms also contain the inorganic elements. So living organisms have also got inorganic elements and compounds in them which can be known by the Asch analysis technique. जैसे हमने chemical analysis किया to know the organic compounds present in the living organisms, there is a technique called as Asch analysis technique through which we can know that which inorganic elements are present in the living organisms. A slightly different but destructive experiment has to be done. So what is the experiment? One weighs a small amount of a living tissue, say for example leaf, liver, and it is called as wet weight. पहले कोई भी living tissue ले लेने का, उसका measurement कर देने का. So that measurement is called as the wet weight. Now after measuring, after weighing that living tissue, we need to dry that living tissue. Suppose a living tissue is dried, what will happen? The water will evaporate. जो भी water living tissue में है वो evaporate हो जाएगा. Now after evaporation of the water, after drying of a living tissue, जो remaining material है उसको weigh करेंगे तो उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? Dry weight. So dry weight is the weight of the living tissue after the evaporation of the water from it. Now if the tissue is fully burnt, अभी ये ड्राई टिश्यू जो इवोपरेट हो चुका है वो टिश्यू को अगर हम बर्न करेंगे, all the carbon compounds are oxidized to gaseous form like carbon dioxide and vapor and will be removed. Okay, अभी ये टिश्यू को जब हम बर्न करेंगे तो बर्निंग से ऑक्सीडेशन होगा जिसकी वजह से जो भी कार्बन कंपाउंड्स है वो क्या होंगे? ऑक्सीडाइज हो जाएंगे इन द फॉर्म ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड वाटर वेपर. एंड जो बचा, what is that called as? The remaining part is called as ash. What is the remaining part called? The remaining part is called as ash. Now ये ash में अगर elemental analysis करते हैं then we obtain the different other elements. So this ash contains inorganic element. What is present in the ash? The ash is containing the inorganic elements like calcium, magnesium or etc. Inorganic compounds like sulfate, phosphate etc. are also present in the acid soluble fraction. Now ऐसा नहीं कि एलिमेंट एश एनालिसिस किया तो ही इनऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड्स मिलेंगे. इफ वी परफॉर्म द एलिमेंटल एनालिसिस ऑन द एसिड सोल्यूबल फ्रैक्शन देन in that also we obtain certain inorganic elements like sulfate, phosphate etc. Sulfate, phosphate can be also found in the acid soluble fraction too. So basically जो inorganic constituent है living tissue का, we will see that sodium, it is present in the form of Na plus ion, potassium K plus ion, calcium Ca2 plus ion, magnesium Mg2 plus ion, water is present whose formula is H2O. and ये जो element है वो compounds भी बनाते हैं like NaCl, CaCO3, that is NaCl, sodium chloride, CaCO3, calcium carbonate, PO4 3 minus, that is phosphate ion, and SO4 2 minus, that is the sulfate ion. So by Asch analysis technique we can find out which type of inorganic elements are present in the living organisms. Therefore elemental analysis gives the elemental composition of the living tissue in the form of hydrogen, oxygen, chlorine, carbon etc. while analysis for compounds give us the idea of the kind of organic and inorganic constituents present in the living tissue. अगर हम elemental analysis करते हैं, so by elemental analysis we get the elemental composition of the living tissue in the form of hydrogen, oxygen, chlorine, etc. While we perform the chemical analysis, through that we can find out which kind of organic and inorganic compounds can be present in the living tissue. From a chemistry point of view, one can identify the functional groups like aldehyde, ketones, aromatic compound, etc. So, अगर chemistry के हिसाब से देखा जाए तो we can find the organic functional group present in the compounds, whereas from the biological point of view we shall classify them into amino acids, nucleotides, nitrogenous bases, fatty acids, etc. So students, I end my lecture here. We will continue with the next part of the chapter in the next video. Thank you students.